So, hey everybody, my name is Ned. I'm with the Barbizon Chicago office. Thanks so much for everybody who's joining us today. We've also got Ryan, who in my screen is above me, but might be just about anywhere, and Josh from Inner Circle. They're the US distributor for Astera products, and so we're talking about a couple of Astera things today. Barbizon, for those of you that have worked with us before, for those of you who don't know us, you can buy a Astera product through us. We have offices in Boston, we have offices in Chicago, and we have stock of a lot of this stuff and trained staff ready to answer your questions. So yeah, without further ado, I will mute myself, and Josh, you go ahead and do your thing, sir.
I appreciate the fabulous introduction. Good afternoon, everybody. Appreciate everybody being nice and punctual so we can just kind of kick this off. My name is Joshua Carroll with Inner Circle Distribution. We handle quite a few different products, but today we're going to be primarily focusing on the Titan series of the Astera brand. For those of you who are familiar already with the Astera brand, you'll know that we've got the AX series, the original AL series, and now we have the Titan. The latest and greatest to the Titan is going to be our NYX bulb. We developed the NYX bulb with the same technology of the Titan series. So you're going to have that very chaotic RGB system in there. So it's not just a standard RGB white and amber. We've got mint greens, we've got phosphor reds, we've got a lot of different systems built in so that the onboard computer itself can calibrate to the very specific color that you're attempting to use, which is why if you'll notice on the secondary screen I've got here, you'll see the tablet in itself. Going to select a program, you will also notice that I have the ability to go to my Lee Daylight Tungsten, Roscoe Daylight Tungsten. And the reasoning that we have a computer on board is so that when I select any of these colors, the actual output that it replicates is going to be as close to perfect as possible. And that's done with the technology that's within the Titan series. That's why all of the Titans, from our little bulb to the tubes that you can see behind me, they will all have a TLCI and a CRI of 96 plus. And it's due to this diode cluster that we utilize. Now, going back to the bulb in itself, the bulb is going to be compared to right around a 60-watt halogen, same that you would normally use in any other type of application, except now we've got both LEDs and a full color range to add to it. So as mentioned, 60 watts, right around 750 lumens when you're using it within the white variants. The unit itself is very low power, 14 watts to the diodes, and that's all you need. You can plug it directly into the AC, which you see my unit is currently, or you'll also be able to utilize the battery banks. Just like all of our other systems, we have a means to be able to connect power and data to the box and then be able to set your display information, everything that you would normally have access to on the app. The unit itself is going to come a la carte. Once you get the unit, it will have in its own casing the bulb itself plus a USB to coaxial plug so that you can use not just our battery banks, but any existing battery bank due to the fact that the DC voltage coming in is all the way down from 5 volts all the way up to 48. So depending on what you're actually plugging into it, it'll be able to auto manage it just the same way you can plug it into the AC power, and the transformer underneath will also convert it to the DC for you. That being stated, actually real quick, before I get too carried away, are there any questions that may have popped up as far as the lumens rating, the CRIs, the color matching, anything that I've currently gone over? The size of the bulb, as mentioned, just like a 60-watt unit, it's right about 3 inches wide by 5 inches tall. So we try to keep it with the standard specs that you would normally be using. Now, the unit itself, just like all of our other systems, are going to be IP65. So now, because it's IP65, these units are not able to be opened or modified or worked on. So because of that, we have developed the same polycarbonate topping that we have on our tubes. So this is incredibly robust. You're not going to crack it. You're not going to shatter the bulb. It's not a glass type housing. So you can beat it up the same way you normally beat up all the other fixtures, put them in their road cases, toss them around, put them where you need them, just like any of our other systems to there. So polycarbonate, ceramic, And then the base bottom is brushed just like any other fixture. And then let's go here to the tablet itself. And I guess we'll just go through some color variances real quick, just to be able to get a full breakdown of the colors. So you'll notice right now I'm controlling it through the app. Now I could be controlling it through DMX. These units themselves, they're one of the few units to have a Bluetooth chip built directly into the bulb. That means normally with the Astera brand, you would need one of our transmitters. And our transmitters is operating off of a 900 UHF because all of our fixtures have that built in. It's the same bandwidth that used to be for your house phones. And kind of date myself here, but back in the day, you could be in your front yard, backyard, talking on your landline with no issues whatsoever. But today's world, you need to have a Wi-Fi repeater in every other room just to get good signal. The difference is the bandwidth, what's actually traveling through the air. So we utilize the 900 because it has a much greater efficiency on going through organic medium, trees, people, walls, these sorts of things. So because of that, we now are able to reach a good 300 meters clear line of sight utilizing the 900, where the 2.4, as we all know from using WDMX and CRMX, you are limited, especially with heavy traffic. So these sorts of things you do need to basically figure out exactly where your niche is going to be. As far as, do I want to have DMX controlled? Do I want to just keep it nice and simple with this? Both options will give you A, the range, and B, the performance that you need to be able to connect to it. Now going back to the actual fixture itself, again, this unit can now replace the ART7 because of the fact that normally the fixtures only have the UHF and the CRMX and WDMX chips in there, where this one now also has a Bluetooth chip. So because of that, I'm no longer going to be limited to needing a transmitter to be able to operate my other fixtures, where I can buy this nice and cheap little bulb, have full app control, as well as be able to broadcast from my bulb to my other Astera fixtures. All again, for minimal cost without the need of a transmitter. Now, because it is operating off of a bulb and it's not a dedicated transmitter, you will be cutting your signal strength just about in half. But at the same time, with multiple bulbs out there, you can then broadcast the signal out to everything. And that is a very key feature that's built just with the bulb itself. And it's going to be released very soon. There's going to be no hardware updates. So you can buy all the bulbs you want now. It's already got the chip built in. There's no taking it apart. There's no, oh, we got a retro. No, it's a matter of being an update from the software side of things. And then once that is locked on and solid, we're going to be releasing that here within the next month or so. And then you'll have full access with the bulbs as a transmitter. Is there any questions as far as the chipsets, connectivity of the chipsets, anything along those lines?
I've got a question about the battery range.
Okay.
Customer's asking, the website lists 5 to 18 volts VDC. Is it now up to 48? Is that a new set?
Well, the bulb itself is going to be the 4 to the other. The box is a separate charge system. So the box you'll be able to plug directly into the AX1 chargers or even the FP1 chargers, the Titan series. This has the same technology built into it as our tubes do, which is why a 24 volt Titan series can take a 48 volt charger because of the fact that the brains on the inside will cut that in half and know what it needs to take. So the voltage going to the bulb itself is separate than what's going to the power bank.
Gotcha. And then I've got another question. Does Bluetooth transmission mean that one device can control multiple products without the transmitters? So you're saying that you can have the bulb and then a series of other Astera products and be able to control all of those directly from the app?
That is correct. So the Bluetooth access is what's going to give you the ability to be able to tap into the bulb through Bluetooth instead of a transmitter. Then the bulb itself is going to translate the Bluetooth to the 900 for all of the other existing fixtures, as well as, even if it's not our fixtures and it's operating off of your WDMX or CRMX, you can tap into the bulb and then use the bulb as a transmitter. So it'll give you both functional, both the 900 UHF on our proprietary language, as well as the existing language.
Okay, awesome.
And let's go back in here. Let's get some. So we'll start off at our warms and we'll dial it up incrementally as we go. As you can see, the color mixing is very smooth. There's no washes of any particular hard reds or greens coming off the edges. It's all nicely diffused by the time it reaches the top end of the polycarbonate. And that's due to the diode package that we have built in, just as we do on all the other fixtures. So the NYX, we've basically gone over all of the main features: Bluetooth capability, being able to transmit your WDMX and or CRMX directly from it, having the same diode package as all the other Titans to be able to reach the incredibly CRIs, as well as all of our other built-in profiles for your gels. Now that's going to lead us into the Titan series in itself. So the one behind me was standing up on its little feet. I actually have this dimmed down to right about 5 to 10%, so that this way you can actually see the colors within the camera. There is quite a bit of washout. So now the Titan series in itself, this one here has the same CRI, the 96 plus, all the way across the board. The Titans will all be identical. But this unit, instead of just being only 750 lumens, is 13,040 lumens. I'm sorry, 1,340 lumens. Words, what are they? And so I'll give you just a quick demonstration. Right now I have this running in a 13-hour operation mode. I can go all the way up to 20 hours, just as all of our fixtures can do. And then of course, max output. So you'll notice that gets substantially brighter. All of these fixtures on the Titan series will give you a display on the back. Every feature and function that I have within the app itself, I can also tap into from the back display. That is the beautiful part about these units. I no longer need a transmitter to be able to set addresses. I can even set the radio pin of the 900 UHF that I want to use without having to do the whole pair sequence, making it flash blue. All of these sorts of things are now eliminated by tapping in the radio pin that you want to utilize and then just having your box operating. And then from there, they will automatically pick themselves up and be ready to go, as well as being able to set CRMX, be able to go whatever type of protocol standalone. If you want to put a program in there and just let it run in the background, you can now do that from the back display, whereas the original AX1 did not give you that option. And then of course, just give me 1 second here. I'm going to grab one of the ones that I got charging up. So the existing FP1, film and photography 1, this unit here is 2,900 lumens. It's incredibly bright. I have it washing through color right now. I'll just put it in a nice open white. This is the same system. You'll notice the original model, if I hold them back to back, are identical. You're not going to notice any differences besides size. The original unit is 1 meter. Your FP2 and or the Helios, this is a 1/2 meter. And then behind me, I have a nice 5'5" Titan series called the Hyperion. So it comes in 3 different sizes. The diode packages are going to be identical to each other. The CRIs, it's all the same technology, the same computers built in to be able to give you the color rendering that we're known for. I'm going to go ahead and take a quick pause to see if we get any questions that may have popped up during my tube spiel.
Nothing right now. Again, folks, if you got questions, please feel free to just throw them in the chat.
So the unit does have batteries built in. The NYX is one of the only fixtures that we have that do not have a battery, and that's just due to the size limitations. As mentioned, every single one of our fixtures you can have operating at max for about 1.5 hours, 2 hours, brand new out of the box. And then you can also set it to 20-hour runtime. So in this case here, I'll go ahead. I have it in 13-hour, which I can dial that all the way down. So this is running in 20-hour mode, which means I will get this output 20 hours without any color shift. There's going to be no dampening down. Your CRI is going to stay exactly the same as the first minute you have it on to the last minute before it cuts itself off at 10%. These units do have a battery built in. There is 2 computers built in, one for the actual color control and one to be able to monitor itself with its batteries, what the delta voltage is, being able to keep the health integrity of the unit intact. So the whole unit itself is right about 3 pounds. For the large unit, this one here is only about, I believe, 1.68 pounds. And then the unit behind me is about 7 pounds, and that's just due to the size. Inside is all going to be aircraft aluminum, so this way it's nice, keeps it nice and light. Again, polycarbonate, so you can really beat these things pretty good. And as long as you're not slamming the control board around and busting these up, you're going to be just fine. We've had these literally ran over and still working, never even turned off. All right, so we've gone over the Titan series in itself. I'm actually going to start and go over the app layout. You've got a good feel for what the lights can and can't do, as far as batteries built into which ones and how they transmit and what signals they take. But now it's a good chance to be able to actually show you the app, how everything is connected. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a small little AX3 and I'm going to walk you through the pair process, how all this connects, what to look for, and these sorts of things. So just give me one moment. I'm going to step off screen, grab a small little AX3, and we'll all follow along together. So going back to the screen now, all of the major functions for initial setup are always going to be within the top right. So I'm not sure if this will highlight proper, but I'm going to go ahead and select it a couple times so you can see. So the 3 lines, what I call the cheeseburger, on the very top right of my screen, that is your main settings area. This is where it's going to display the transmitter that you're currently using, as well as it'll be able to show you the radio pin that you've set. Now the radio pin is very much different from the Bluetooth pin. The Bluetooth pin is going to be on the on the back of the transmitter box, and it will never change. It's actually related to its serial number. It's an algorithm that's built within so that it can never be changed, and it is always the same linking capabilities. The radio pin is something that you will set personally so that no matter what's going on, your devices, so if you have 6 of these transmitters in one area and you have lights that are specifically locked onto one or the other, they won't cross their signal. They will know I'm listening to box with radio pin 4, and that's the only box I want to listen to. Why? Because you've paired that one to radio pin 4. That was the same description as far as being able to go to the back display, setting very quickly the radio pin without having to go through that blue flash mode. So in this case here, I've already got my radio pin set to my other fixtures, but you'll notice if I go to my list connected device, bottom left, I have my AX10 to my side. I've got my bulb here. I've even got my little Helios and Hyperion behind me. I can always troubleshoot from this page as well, just to verify. So if you're looking back on my screen, as far as the bulb itself, if I highlight, we'll go to a solid white. That's no matter what type of function it's got on there. It can be any color it wants to be, no matter what. As soon as I go in here and I say highlight, it's going to then lock up so that I know what fixture it is that I'm speaking to. So we go ahead and turn that back to a non-irritating color. All right, so I have my unit. It's off. It's not linked to anything whatsoever. So we're going to go to the main settings. This is where all the major magic happens. And you're going to notice the pair with lights. So this unit that I'm holding has no display. It has no means for me to be able to set the radio pin through the light itself. So I'm going to have to do it through the app. It's the older series and the AX, which is why we've progressed the models forward with the displays themselves. So I'm going to hold down the power on the unit. It will then turn itself on. Now from there, now that it is on, I'm going to hold down the power again, and it is going to go to the pairing sequence. This blue flash here is letting me know, like your Bluetooth devices, when you're discovering the flash is generally a blue flash and it's very quick, it's the same concept. So I'm going to say pair with lights. I'm going to get a quick menu stating, hey, make sure they're flashing blue all irritating like, and I'm going to say that's not a problem, they are. And it's going to send out a broadcast. And if you're looking on the screen, you are going to see a progress bar that's going to be going across. This isn't a matter of, oh, I found all my lights and I'm going to now be done with this progress. It's not a setup wizard, if you will. This is just sending out a mass broadcast of every fixture that can listen that hasn't been locked onto a radio pin can then pick up this signal. So if you have any other fixtures that you're attempting to lock onto a separate box somewhere else, if they're flashing blue, this will send out a broadcast and they'll be picked up to it. So If your light is continuously flashing blue, say you've got a good 100 of these on your stage, and this one didn't pick itself up, you'll just say pair with lights once again. It'll resend out the broadcast. Anything that didn't get picked up the first time will now get picked up again. And that is it. That is as simple as it is. So I'll refresh this page a couple times. It usually takes about 15 to 45 seconds. Due to the fact that we're using a 900 UHF, we're using a protocol that we call Talkback. Now, the Talkback is a beautiful feature because of the fact that it's operating independently of the other signals. Let me go ahead and grab this and unplug it from the DMX that I've got here. My box has 2 antennae. The reason for that is this one is only operating on 900 UHF, where this one here is going to be operating on my 2.4. This leg of the box doesn't even turn itself on until your DMX plug has been entered in on the bottom. Just a moment here. Grab this. So you'll notice the transmitting lights are off. Nothing's going to them. As soon as I plug this into the bottom here, it starts and it boots itself up. Just like any other computer or software, you'll have to give it a couple moments to actually turn itself on, get itself activated. And then from there, if I have any of these fixtures in their auto mode, or if I've already told them to be in CRMX, just a quick tap on this button will now transmit a broadcast off my 2.4 to let my fixtures know, hey, I'm ready to go CRMX, are you listening? And you're gonna lock on just as easy. But we'll get to that towards the back end of everything once we start stacking in with questions as far as CRMX capability, how do you connect everything, the best ways to set profiles. I'm going to be showing you that as we go through the app itself. So back over to the app. One quick thing I want to point out is we were talking about Bluetooth. We were talking about 900, the beautiful part about 900 and its long distance reach. One of the major limitations is always going to be Bluetooth. So because of that, your transmitter and your tablet that you're going to be using should be within 15 feet of each other. That is exactly why we have this belt clip right here, so that you can take it, put it on your belt, have your tablet doing what you need to do without the distance getting too far for it to lose itself. If it does lose itself, you will get a red X where your Astera box is. If you're looking on the app screen here, there will be a red X through that box letting you know that you have lost connection to it and you need to get back closer to it. On that same note, it will automatically connect. You won't have to do any of the pair sequences or any of that. As soon as you get close enough to the box and the box is on, it will pick up the fact that you initially were locked on before. It'll reestablish a connection and get right back to it, which is really nice when you say you've got a install or you're letting a client use it for a show and they don't want any DMX capabilities. They want to have an app, colors already predetermined, and you've set it in there for them. You can power everything off, load it into the road cases, send it off to the client. They pull everything out of the cases, turn it all on, and it's all ready to go. As soon as everything sees itself and sees the power to each system, it's going to pick itself up. The units themselves are already locked on with the radio pin, so they're ready to be told what to do. That is the beautiful part about this entire system. It's very plug and play, ready to go. Minimum runtime, as you can see, I've got everything set at max because most of what I got behind me is actually plugged in, except for the tubes here, which you saw how bright they were initially. So I'm going to go ahead and tamp that down. I'm going to say we'll do it at about 15 hours. Now this is sending a broadcast to all my fixtures. If I wanted to do this independent, I could select a fixture at a time and state, all right, I want you at a 3-hour mode, or I need you to last all day in 20 hours. That all can be done directly from your list. This is also a beautiful aspect because, like I said, you're broadcasting on 2 separate antennae. So if I told all of these fixtures, boom, there, CRMX, they're all going to black out behind me just due to the fact that they're waiting for the DMX signal. I have no DMX signal to give them, so they're blacked out. But at the same time, if I needed to make an adjustment, I can grab any of these fixtures here. I can tell them their address, change it to whatever I need to do. Right there on the fly, how many pixels, its profile. Do I want it to be RGB to have full pixel mapping segments? Do I want it to be all as one? Do I want to have a crossfade of green to magenta? All of these aspects can be instantly applied just by selecting what you want. It's going to then send that on the 900, our Talkback, and then your DMX is just going to be sent out through your console as it normally always would. So you can have all of your fixtures living in the air as they normally would be, and no ladders required, because if you need to change an address or if you need to squeeze things down and shrink the profile a bit, you can do it right from the app. So let me go ahead back in here. I'm going to tell them that they are now, again, app mode. And then it's going to send out a broadcast to all of them saying, hey, I want you to go back to your app. And then what that'll do is that'll ignore all the other broadcasts that are out in the area. So if I have half of my units running off CRMX and the other half running off app, I can have my console send out all the info that I need, and I can control the ones that are backstage or lighting up the stairway for security or any type of those purposes. I can then have specific control over those fixtures directly from the app that don't need any kind of crazy console. Jumping back into it, most people.
Sorry, we've got a question.
Yeah.
What kind of interference issues do you see, especially in a crowded wireless environment with either the Bluetooth or any of the other wireless protocols that you're working with on this?
Well, the Bluetooth in itself is pretty negate just due to the fact that the signal strength is so low. Unless you were standing next to some sort of Bluetooth tower or whatever it might be, something that's broadcasting a bunch of different signals, you're not really going to notice anything due to the fact that after 15 feet, it drops itself off and it's really hard to interfere. One of the biggest things that you're going to have is when you're operating off of the UHF, it's the same broadcast as your wireless mics. So if you have people linking and testing and sending out their own broadcast to get your wireless mics connected, you will have extra traffic in the area, but it balances that out. It ranges from the low 900s to the mid 900s. It actually does the same thing with the 2.4. So if you have heavy traffic with 2.4, when you're sending out your initial broadcast and it touches base with the fixture and the transmitter will talk to each other and determine on the heavy bands of Wi-Fi traffic. Wi-Fi operates in different channels. You've got 1 to 13. Your common your routers and all these sorts of things, they're generally operated on 3, 6, and 9. But we have an auto balancing feature so that if 3, 6, and 9 are too heavy, it can offset itself to 2 or 4 or 5 or any of the in-between channels all the way up to channel 13 to be able to lighten the load of the broadcast. So that is all natively built directly into the fixture. That's nothing that you have to enable or have to set specific. It will automatically scan the air, see the heavy traffic, offset to a separate channel, and then continue its broadcast.
Awesome, thanks. And just a time check, we're looking at, it's 2:30 right now, in case I'm sure you can't see a clock from where you're standing.
No worries, no worries. So the app control, I'm just gonna go over some of the key features in case you're new to the Astera line. I want to make sure that you're fully aware of all the functions that we offer. So within the app itself, as long as the transmitter and the tablet are on, you can set these so that they are able to turn themselves off and on at very particular times. The reason we give you this ability is all of these fixtures have what we consider a sleep mode or a hibernation. So every 24 hours, it'll only utilize 3 to 5% of its overall capacity. So if you could set it up on one day, have everything the way where it lives, have the actual tablet itself turn itself off, knowing that at 7 a.m. tomorrow, the show starts and it needs to turn itself on. Well, this is a means so that everything's going to operate and run by itself without the need of anybody to come turn the entire rig on. So you'll see here, I can disable it, or I can say at this time, I need you to leave standby, basically pulling themselves out of hibernation. Then you also have the enter. So I can say when to turn itself on, when to turn itself off. If this were going to an architectural type install, I can have it set so that it turns on at 7 p.m. when everybody leaves and then turn itself off when everybody gets back in the office and it's just regular light. Or vice versa. Have it turn on in the evening time to be nice and beautiful with all of its color and then turn itself off in the morning time. Now your actions for all lights as well. You have the ability, because they all have a computer built inside that know their positioning. So because of that, you also have the ability to turn an alarm on. So if this is a venue where anything can happen, and these units are going to be locked down, especially with their AX5 series and the actual PAR lights themselves, you can make it so that if anybody touches it, you'll notice that it started flashing. Well, they will have a siren that if I move this, it will start flashing and yelling and telling me that within the display that it is being manipulated. And so because of that, it will lock itself down. You won't be able to turn it off. You won't be able to do anything to it. No settings will apply until it has gone back to its home position and the radio impedance matches as it was. Then it will know that it's back home, and then the alarm itself will stop. So there's a lot of key features built in here to keep your fixtures your fixtures. Let me go ahead and turn this off before I go walking away and then they all start flashing. Your anti-flicker mode, this was primarily built into the AX series to be able to match cameras so that the flicker went away. All of the common Titan series are going to have your scattered pulse modulation, which means the refresh rate is scattered to such degree that the camera never actually has time to pick up the flash in between. And that's built all the way through the fixtures. Everything that's Titan has this scattered pulse modulation. But if you were using the old series and you had a flicker going on, you could very well select it, say your frames per second, the hertz that you want, hit OK, and everything's ready to go. We also have a new feature. So we understand that a lot of people like to have multiple tablets, multiple devices running at the same time. We give you the ability to now give control and take control. So because of this, anything that's on the Wi-Fi, any tablet, I can then give access to my transmitter so that they can make the changes they want from their tablet. It's just an updated means to be able to have multiple people have control over one system without the needs of multiple transmitters and having one person to log off and repair to the device. And it was a big headache, so we just made it go away. As well as one of the best features of this entire system, if we go app settings, so the Talkback is the main feature I was telling you about. This Talkback will also give me the ability, if you're viewing my page here, to automatically install updates. As long as my tablet has the latest and greatest of the Astera software, it will automatically push the updates to any fixture I have locked on. So if I have anything paired to my transmitter first will take the update from the tablet. Once it has the new version, every fixture that I've got locked on here, all of these here, so you'll see during this presentation, my lights actually updated themselves for me without me having to do anything. And now all I got to do is say, all right, reboot and take your update. And so all of this is done for you. Apologies. And so from there, yeah, it makes life simple. You get it back into your shop. You have a master radio pin that you can set for all of your units. So no matter what the clientele has set for their radio pin for the broadcast, every fixture that comes back to you, once you have your master pin set in, you type that in onto your transmitter. And then from there, no matter what pin they had been set to, they're automatically going to jump to your signal because you know your master pin. This is something that you don't share with other people, something for your specific technicians. And that is the main key features of the app. The app itself also has the ability to create segmented zones. We upgraded the app, if you will, to be able to weed out the need of a board operator. A lot of people cannot afford these types of projects, as well as the knowledge that goes into it is a bit expensive, especially for the people just stepping into the game. So because of that, we've given you the ability to actually create zones. So I can have one side of my room do one thing, the other side do the other. Just as I've got all these fixtures independently working, I can have my NYX bulb do whatever I tell it to do. And at the same time, I can go back in and say the wall light behind me, I now want you to be some sort of blue pulse. So because of that, I can then have very specific effects going on as I want them to, and change them at any given point in time to be the effect I'm going for, the look that I want. If I wanted to have a police effect, I could just tap in on the back behind me and then scroll over, do a new program of red and blue flashing back and forth, and you'll notice I now have what looks to be like being arrested for something. And this is just having control over specific areas. So here, I go back to the NYX bulb, as well as I can select multiple at one time. So if I have two sides that I want to do the same thing, but the back end, just keep open white because I need it for my wash light or my fill light, I can make sure that that will never change and my colors only apply to the specific lights that I want it to. So let me go ahead and bring that back to some normalcy here. And then of course I've got all lights. So if I'm in a pinch or, all right, it's the end of the show, everything needs to turn back on so we can pack everything up, all lights apply. The command then goes to everything here. So we've made the app incredibly easy to utilize. Everything to it is just a touch button away as far as your effects go. Any questions on the effects or the app control?
Not seeing anything right now. I know we do have a couple of questions. Question. So does putting the fixture on blackout, will that conserve the battery life?
It will, not the same as the hibernation, but if I were to go to here, master, and I dim all these out, they will only utilize about 5 to 7% of overall capacity, whereas the blackout mode, because the blackout mode tells it to ignore all signal besides the talkback. So because of that, it then is able to diminish some of the broadcasting that's going on in between. Whereas if I just black it out with the intensity, it's still attempting to keep its ears open for CRMX signal, for another broadcast of anything else, as well as the talkback. So it has more sensors active. The hibernation mode does not allow the theft alarm to be active. It's only a matter of when the fixture itself turns on. So there's a lot of features to the light that it disables so that it can utilize itself. Now the blackout mode also will work almost just the same. It's only a percentage or two away. So the answer is a short yes, but in the long scheme, not exactly as the hibernation mode would.
And then, are there any plans to make a desktop version of the application that you're using? So a Windows version or a Mac version of the app, as opposed to only doing it through a smartphone or a tablet device?
Well, the reason that we do it through the smartphone and tablet devices is the Bluetooth chip that's built natively in all of these phones is the appropriate chipset. It's Bluetooth in itself is progressing and evolving. There's more powerful chips that are coming out. Primarily when you have a PC-based chip, it does not operate in the same fashion as your tablets and your phones. You can use an emulator. So on your PC, it's a matter of having the knowledge to be able to access that driver on your PC to utilize the Bluetooth. But if your PC has Bluetooth, then it's going to be, you'll be able to run an emulator of Android and or the iOS. So currently not directly off Windows, but emulation does work.
Awesome.
All right, so we're about almost 15 minutes out from the top of the hour. We've gone over the Titan series. We've gone over very briefly the app. Is there anything in particular as far as the DMX linking that you might want to step into, or did you want to wait till after?
We've got a couple of questions about the sort of some finer points of DMX, so I can let those go into the Q&A. So the NYX bulb that you have, is the direct pair enabled on that? Can you show that process, or is that not?
The direct pair to Bluetooth is not active just yet. As mentioned, it will be here in the next coming months. It is not a hardware update. It is very specifically a software update directly to the app itself. So as mentioned in the very beginning, anybody who has already purchased a bulb, they don't have to do anything other than download the latest version that will be released. Okay. But the actual pairing sequence in itself, if we go back here, go all the way up to the top, it is very simply, again, there's only one button on the unit itself, which is a power button. just like the AX ones were. So if I hold down the power button for about 4 seconds, it's going to start flashing blue as it is now. Now on my tablet, I'm going to say pair with lights. And just like I did with the AX3 just a moment ago, as soon as it stops flashing blue, that tells me it has picked up my radio signal and that it's locked itself on and is ready to be manipulated.
Great. Well, then, yeah, I think, why don't I'll let Kelsey, if you want to turn your camera and microphone on, we can do that, the social giveaway component, and then we can open it up for questions.
Okay, perfect. Can everybody see me and hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. Hi, my name is Kelsey. I'm with the marketing team at Barbizon. If you received a DM inviting you to this event, that came from me. So hi, it's nice to virtually meet you. I want to thank everybody for joining us and for everybody who put this together. And I want to encourage you to follow us on our social channels and turn notifications on so you don't miss out on future virtual demos and also product releases. The 3 main accounts for you to follow are at Barbizon Lighting, at Barbizon Boston, and at Barbizon Chicago. With that being said, let's find out who wins the next poll. I put all the names in an online generator and I let it select the winner. And the winner it selected was Mark Davis with the Instagram handle Shy Lights. So Mark, DM us on Instagram and we'll coordinate all the details with you, but congratulations.
Hey, all right.
Congrats. So yeah, that's pretty much the end. I know Colin, you already had a question. So folks, we're basically going to do an open Q&A. If you've got something, just ping it in the chat and then I will turn your video on, and you can unmute yourself and ask the question. So Colin, if you want to unmute yourself and ask, I know you had a specific question about your application.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Cool. So I'm basically just gonna read this. I used to be able to use the IR remote to turn off and on the Helios tubes. And I only ever used CRMX, DMX to interface with them. We don't really use the app. And so they're pretty much always in that mode. And it seems like I can still turn them on, but maybe an update killed the ability to turn them off with the remote. Is that true?
No, you're spot on. The system itself will give you the ability to turn it on due to the fact that the on function is also a secondary function for if you were to be setting groups. So if I had a large array of fixtures and I wanted these all to be one zone, so in the tablet area, if I go back here, if you can still see the tablet, so all these grouped areas, if I were to create a new one, the fixtures themselves, they want to be told to be either turned on or the enter button. I can use that IR to say on for them as well. But what you're experiencing is the CRMX, because your fixtures know that that's the protocol you want to be utilizing, they will ignore and block out any other protocol due to the fact that normally when you're board hopping, you need finite control and you don't want anything interrupting.
Right.
So because of that, it is basically put within a standalone setting, where in the standalone, the IR functions mean nothing to it. It doesn't care.
Gotcha.
So because of that, you are correct. You will have no ability to turn these off with the IR controller. You will have to do that directly, either blackout mode or the hibernation mode from the app, or going to the fixture themselves and powering them down.
Okay. Is there any hope of making a setting in a future update that I could enable that feature?
We have brought that up to the team. Unfortunately, there is a stronger demand to keep it off, just due to the fact that these IR controllers are a dime a dozen. You can get product from all over the world that takes IR controllers, and you hit red on that one and orange will light up on for the function of somebody else's product. So
Right.
Because IR is not locked down to very specific broadcasts, because of that, and there's no proprietariness to it, we don't want to have that, because somebody changing to channel 3 on their TV could very well turn off your fixture.
Right.
And that's something you definitely don't want to have. So because there's no actual lockdown of the signal, the way we have radio pins set within the 900 and or the actual broadcast from the 2.4 and the designated link that it puts to the frequency, there's nothing to lock it down. So there's nothing to secure it. There's no security to it. So that is the primary reason why IR does not have the same level of proprietary, the same level of security as the other signals.
Okay.
But I
So
appreciate your question.
we've got another question specifically about the sort of the guts and the thinky bits of the NYX. So
Okay.
the actual chip that's in there, is it the TMO2 Lumen, the CRMX TMO2 from Lumen Radio?
That is,
Or-
it is a Lumens radio chip, just like our transmitter is an actual Lumens radio headboard. So the same product that they've got mounted in their fixtures is the same exact chip that we have mounted in ours. It's no genericness to it. It is exactly theirs.
And Mark, you got more specific questions on that.
Sure,
You can
sure.
unmute yourself.
Same with the WDMX chip as well. It too also is from WDMX.
Yay.
Solid.
Just did want to confirm because the Art 7 does have a TMO 1 chip, right? If I remember, the updated TMO 2 chip I was hoping would be in the newest gen of products, unless I'm mistaken, and there was a TMO 2 in the Art 7.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're referencing the G5 and all that, the Lumens G5 and G4 signal?
Just the generation of, because I mean they're talking about coming out with mesh capability for TMO 2s, which would not be backwards compatible with TMO 1.
Yes, that's the G5
Okay.
band. My apologies. It does not handle the G5, but most of your G5 Lumens products are regressible to the original 2 and 3.
Right.
So we do have the original chipsets. We don't have the latest and the greatest that came out at the beginning of the year.
Okay, copy that. Thanks.
All right. So if anybody else has questions, you can go ahead and let us know in chat, raise your hand, whatever it is. But we'll hang out for a little bit. Folks have specific things they want to get answered. Otherwise, we're about 10 minutes to the hour. So thanks so much to everybody for coming out. And Any
So
questions?
real quick, while I've got everybody's attention, we never did go over the DMX and the linking and how quick it is to do that. So real quick, I'm just going to go over the functions. As mentioned, the DMX portion does not turn itself on until we've plugged in our DMX on the bottom, the dongle. Now that's going to initially boot up its broadcast. If you go to the app portion of the screen, I have them all selected. I'm doing that by so these icons here, the picture of them, I could select one at a time, or I can hold down and they will all select at once. It's generally the easiest function, especially if you want CRMX to every fixture. So I've selected them all, and now you'll notice that this cute little magic wand icon is populated. That's going to be able to send out this broadcast to every fixture I have selected with that little blue list. Right now they're on auto, which was what I was mentioning earlier about having all the different sensors, listening, keeping their ears open, and the difference between the blackout and all that. So right now I'm in auto. So here I'd say you now want to be CRMX. Now the only light I have above me is the one I have in standalone. So they've all blacked themselves out. And the reason for that is because they're not paired. They've got nothing to it. So generally what you would do is you would say unpair CRMX. In this case, they're already unpaired. And now very simply, this little blue button, if you're looking at my screen now, I just tap that green button once. It's going to then send out a broadcast to every single fixture. And now from there, when I go back to my lights, it's now going to say, oh, my top light went off because it picked up from auto. That is funny. So like I said, DMX takes the highest precedence. If you have something in a standalone or any type of auto mode, it will then broadcast out to that. That's why my top light went and turned itself off. Because if you look on the screen, it now says no DMX. So that means I have a signal strength, which I could go in here and I can actually show you a nice, cool little feature most people don't know about. But if I tap the battery icon about 7 different times, it will then populate a full list of everything about this unit, every single battery that it's got within there, what its voltage is at, its temperature, how much its design capacity has been designed for, how much it's currently at, how many battery cycles it's got, because you can go up to 300 battery cycles and then you're going to lose about 30 to 28% of your overall capacity. But again, that's about full use for almost 5 years. Now, this system itself, gone too far, will also give you the radio. So I have my signal strength, I have my deviations, my input selections, my CRMX and my CRMX signal. I'm at 100% signal strength because the unit's directly behind me, but this gives me a full view as far as if I have a little bit of lag, if something's not responding correctly. This is a troubleshooting way to be, all right, I've got connection, but my signal's at 20% or whatever it may be. Okay, I need to bring the box a little closer, maybe even a little higher to be able to broadcast over the rest of the interference. And so it is literally that easy. And now once I've got that, I've got a little DMX box down here that's just kind of pushing its own signal. So as soon as I plug that in and it sees that I want to send a scene to it, so right now it's just receiving some nonsense broadcast from my standalone unit, but you'll now see on the app side of things, my signal strength 98, 100, 100, 199, 100. So it was quite literally just a matter of tapping that green button and everything's going to lock itself on.
While we're talking about DMX, are there any of the streaming protocols, SSEN, ArtNet, is there support for those directly through any Astera product, or do we need to use a gateway or a node to get into that?
Now, on the Titan series, so the tubes themselves, this box will give me the ability, so you'll notice there's 10 ports here. Even though I've only got 8 units per case, the reasoning for that is a full unit, 48 channels, 10 units, that's 480 channels, that's one full universe. So this one box will give me the ability to take our beautiful little, so I've got 5 meter, 10 meter, and 15 meter cords. So basically 45 feet I can run off one go. I can plug into my power bank there, and then plug into my fixture on this end. Now this one cable will not only transmit my data, but also my power. So I can leave these things hardlined with their juice, getting all the power they need to function all day, as well as this will inject the DMX signal directly on that same power cord. So you'll be able to go in 5-pin, just like you standard for all the other products, but also you have the ability to go streaming ACN and or ArtNet. It's just a matter of tapping this little button here and getting the appropriate color that you want on your LED, indicating I am now ArtNet, I'm now I'm now streaming ACN, and so on and so forth. The box itself will also give you the ability to set in 2 range and 10 range without having to access it from URL. You could do it just by the button selection as well.
Awesome. Got another question. Would magnets harm the product in terms of using magnets with the tubes for a rigging solution?
No, you can go on Instagram right now and see all day long that people have taken the little silver clamps that we provide with the fixtures. And because it's got a 1/4-inch thread on the back of it, they take the flat magnets that they normally go fishing in the lake for, and it has the same 1/4-inch thread. So they just thread that through, put a little Loctite on there so it doesn't fall out, and they use it on the silver holders. So silver holder grabs it, and then you can place it on whatever system you want. And the AX3s will natively, do I have anything metallic? No, it's all aluminum. So these will already have a earth magnet on the back end of it. All of our AX3s will. So a lot of fixtures may already have them.
Awesome. Well, yeah, I'll leave the Q&A open, or I'll leave the chat open, but we don't have anything else right now. I know there are a couple of other Barbizon folks on the call. If anybody has a question, go ahead and ask it, I guess.
Any portion of the app that I might have missed or technical aspects?
Cool. All right. Well, then, yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Thanks so much to everybody for coming. Thanks to Josh and Ryan from Inner Circle for putting this presentation together. If you register for the class, we'll send you, this has been recorded, so marketing is handling getting that up somewhere. And we'll send that link out. Also, the email address that you got the invitation from goes to me. So if you've got any, if it's 2 o'clock in the morning and you think of the perfect question, send that to me. I won't know the answer, but I'll get it over to Josh and he can help you figure out extremely specific stuff that you might have.